This is TWiT.
Netflix has agreed to pay Comcast for high-speed streaming to Comcast customers. Now, here's where it's complicated. If Netflix were just using the public internet, they would, you know, like anybody, like we do, they could just go in on the network. But they understand that 40% of all primetime traffic in the U.S. is Netflix traffic, that they use a lot of bandwidth, that if you can give them 2 or 3 megabits per second, it's consistent, sustained, they can do 2K and now on some things even 4K video, and they want that bandwidth. So what they've been trying to do is get a peering arrangement with Comcast. That's where basically it's a direct connect between Comcast and Netflix. In fact, they tried to get Netflix servers in Comcast operations centers, inside the data centers. Comcast hasn't agreed to that, but they will connect to Netflix servers at data centers operated by Cogent and other companies that provide the bandwidth for Netflix. Comcast said, if you want us to do that, you're going to have to give us money. Netflix said no. And according to Reed Hastings, since October, the bandwidth for Comcast subscribers, available to Comcast subscribers, and Netflix pays close attention to this, has dropped 27%. And, of course, my presumption is that somebody at Comcast has got a knob, and they're turning that knob. They're turning the knob down until they squeeze them hard enough. And then Netflix says, well, all right, fine.
Why wouldn't you do that?
Because, well, if I were Netflix, I might do that. Depends on whether they can afford it. I mean, one of the issues that's come up is this could put them out of business. That it depends on how much they're paying, but there's a point beyond which they can't afford to pay for peering.
And then they'll raise prices on customers.
Well, and this is what, yeah, we'll end up paying for.
How much do they have to raise the price to pay for this, whatever it is? It can't be more than $1.
I think they're in a very price-sensitive business. They're charging $7.99 a month. You can't charge $10 a month. People are going to go, nah.
You could jack it up.
No,
remember when the cable business began, it was dirt cheap, and then all of a sudden now it's like $100. I'm not convinced of this.
My issue is,
I'm surprised that Comcast and these guys haven't gouged these characters long ago.
I think they should. And by the way, it's just the beginning, because Verizon and AT&T are both trying to get deals like this. It's the end of net neutrality as we know it. It is very bad news for consumers. And here's my point of view. It's basically setting up toll roads on the internet. It's as if UPS said to you, John C. Dvorak, you know, I'm Amazon. I'm shipping to John C. Dvorak. I pay UPS to ship the product out. It's as if the driver pulled up to you and said, hey, John, you want this package? Give me $1. Otherwise, I'm bringing it tomorrow. It's just like that. It's double dipping.
Yeah.
We pay Comcast for full and unfettered access to the internet. It's in Comcast's interest to give Netflix a nice fat pipe because that makes me a happy customer.
Right.
But you know why this doesn't work? Because Comcast has a monopoly. There's nowhere else to go.
Well, maybe that's the problem.
It's a little depressing, frankly. But does anybody want to defend Comcast here? Anybody?
Not me. I'll do it.
Surprise there. There's a guy out there raising his hand. Who do you work for, sir?
Comcast.
Charter.
The mind with peering agreements is that peering agreements are typically beneficial for both.
Well, and that's what Cogent.
In this case, you got Netflix
that's right.
Sending an awful lot of data to Comcast.
Right. So you're exactly right. A typical peering arrangement is symmetrical. You send me data, I'll send you data. It's you know, and that makes a lot of sense. One of the reasons, frankly, we get sweetheart deals on bandwidth because some of our providers want to have a back stream so that they, you know, AOL for a long time carried our content because they wanted to have peering relationships with systems that were sending them a lot of content.
Why don't you ask me why I'm going to defend Comcast?
Why will you defend Comcast?
Because it's Comcastic.
Oh, shut up.
I haven't used that gag for a while.
Oh, shut up.